the 700,000, and other than Ep Street, if you remember, we did the curb and gutter and driveway project on Ep Street. That was probably the largest
Yeah.
concrete project we did last year.
So,
Does that make any
so
sense?
if,
Yeah, it does now, a little bit about it, yeah.
if I'm understanding, you just throw a rough estimation, say we're gonna do 8, Town of Blackstone might do 27 drop inlets, and then they bid a unit price on that, and we think we're gonna do 450 feet of this amount of,
I'll read it to you very quickly if you'd like.
and then they all bid on that, and then
It's good we're talking about drop inlet since 222 for us is next.
It's on the agenda. Got a little dig in there.
Just let us slide it in there, you know.
I just feel like there's so many ways for you to
I
really
caught
play
you.
with the numbers. I mean, not that.
I've struggled with this for years, trying to
I
figure
got
out how
one
to do
street
it.
that ain't paved
And
in
in
my area.
order for you don't end up with multiple contractors, you
boy,
gotta
that's-
base it on it.
What street is that?
Unfortunate, but for
Trees.
example, assuming 1,200 linear feet annually of curb and gutter, we probably did no more than 500 feet last year. Okay? CG6, less than 100 feet, more than 100 feet. And then CG6 demolition and disposal. And I added that last couple of years ago because it wasn't on the list. Obviously needed to be done, and that was an arbitrary figure. So I made everybody bid on the actual demolition based on a linear foot cost.
What was that price per linear foot for the CG6 less than 100?
$80 a foot. There's risk.
That's the
why
thing.
bid
You
so
go
much
from
money.
$80 to $1.
That's what I'm saying. He
See
takes
a lot
the
of
risk on it.
100 linear feet happening.
I got a question.
People.
Did you put that street in my area that's not paved? Is it
On her
kind of,
street?
yeah, is it
It
kind
could
of,
be done.
yeah, gotta be,
This would be the contract that would handle that.
right.
If you were
Cause that's the only street in the neighborhood that doesn't have it.
on the street down there that does not have curb and
Make the
gutter,
rest of the neighborhood look bad.
and you won't let me forget.
Right.
That's all.
anybody else wants to?
That's your risk.
Oh, did it already make its way?
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
Bless you.
Okay, Mr. Nash has moved and Mr. Miller is second to accept this concrete bid. Although, we'll start with a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Gormas.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Unfinished business number 4, 222 Forest Drive. Could we have an update, Mr.?
I do. Good news. I talked to Randy Jones today, our engineer, and his staff was there last week. And they didn't do surveying work, but they did an assessment of what can and can't be done. And Randy said we will have a product that we can construct off of between 30 and 45 days from now. We'll have a plan that we can move forward. I don't have the money to do it right now. Randy has.
What about the blocking off of the drainage from the other side of the road?
That will be
That
part
hasn't
of-
been done yet either.
It has not, but that will be part of those construction drawings that we.
So the work will be done by,
I can do them pretty quick after I get a set of drawings. 'Cause
it's
I
30,
think with the
45
intention we
days.
were gonna do it
Town,
ourselves.
town labor,
It
yeah.
will be in November. I mean,
Yeah, winter time. It's probably okay. We get our leaves up, and to tell you the truth, it's probably a good time to do it, other than it being wet and kind of messy. But our crews are a little slower in that time of year unless we have bad weather.
he wanted to be here tonight, Mr. Divers, but he couldn't. He's health,
He did?
has some health, Jeff Divers.
Oh.
His health wouldn't allow it, so.
Okay.
But yeah, I talked to him on the phone this evening, and he's very happy to see people out there doing the flags in the ground and to see.
They are working at
The
it.
ditch is actually town property, so.
Well, I think you can
that's
give them a
stuff.
good report.
That's good
so-
stuff.
Wheels of government are always slow.
They're slow, but we're getting there.
We're getting there. And
So you also know, I noticed that the speed bumps have been installed in Pickett Court.
they have been installed in
Additional
Pickett Court
speed bumps. You gotta go slow.
Good.
with one additional speed bump being added at Pickett Court. As a result of our meeting, Mr. Miller and the mayor and I went down there and spoke with Paul Lax and I think Ms. Blackwell. And I think we acquiesced to the furor, and one additional speed bump will be put in there.
Blacks can get passionate sometimes.
We're talking the polymer ones that are both.
Polymer ones, they're working pretty good. And
Total, what, 5 in that semicircle?
if you get those 4 concrete one, or asphalt ones that nobody's really thrilled about, and now we have 2 of the polymer, and there'll be a 3rd polymer put in.
Did you say it was already installed?
Thank you.
I thought you said
Yeah,
it was
there's a
already
new one put closer to the
Oh, is it already in? Okay, I asked the guys to do it. I didn't know if it had already been done.
Do we have any more speed bumps left?
Pardon?
I stopped halfway through.
Are there any more speed bumps left?
Nothing approved. I can tell you there's a James Pateris that lives on Nottaway Avenue. Pretty persistent about it, and I think he may have called Carolyn too. He's spoken to me,
I've got a couple.
2 or
too
3
in
times.
my ward too.
and
that-
please be judicious. Please go through the process. But most people in town want them. I mean, people want people to slow down in front of their house, and if they're speeding. So, Mr. Pateris has been a long time complainant. I did see an email where he had contacted Carolyn, and if he's watching tonight, please know that we haven't forgot you, but we've gotten what we needed to be done. But I appreciate you telling me about the picket court. I didn't know they had done it already, but the one at the entrance.
Okay, anything else, council? Next is the ongoing projects, and Manager Van Orbeck, would you just be so kind as just report
Very
on
quickly.
items 1 through 8?
Dilapidated buildings, we're working with the property owner at 301 North High Street to try to come to a resolution. That house is in bad shape, and we're trying to work with other private entities to maybe purchase the property, maybe find alternative living conditions. But there's people that live in it, and if we proceed on with an eminent domain, it's going to put folks in the street. And what we're trying to do is find an alternative where they could live. I don't know what the interior of the house looks like, but the exterior is beyond blighted, and it's actually structurally falling down. Hopefully, we can find a resolution with all quarters. Meals tax. 1 outstanding meals tax, and you said there are 8 outstanding lodging taxes, but those specifically Airbnb that you're waiting for the report. Have the payments been made though?
Yeah.
The payments are made, you just don't know.
Month of August, I
She
won't
doesn't
see
know
the
where to
reports
put
until
it.
the end of
Apply 'em.
September. Yeah. Always get them, but it's always the end of the next month.
Tar and gravel schedule is complete for this year, and we did mostly Oak Street, Lester Street, generally southeast part of town. I'm requesting authorization, but if you're agreeable, whether you need a motion or not, to solicit sealed bids for asphalt and tar and gravel for schedules for 2024. If we don't bid them out in the fall, VDOT gets ahead of us and we never get bids. So we usually do them after Labor Day.
What do you want to do?
I'd like to get authorization to solicit bids for tar and gravel and
Heard the manager's request, is there a motion? Mr. Nash moves, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Gorman seconds. Any other discussion? We talking about over 10 grand, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Hearing none, I ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Gorman.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0.
Tar and gravel.
Number 3.
Tar and gravel.
Number 4.
Wigglesworth, there's really nothing new to report. We've got to finish the inside and work on the buildings and do all that sort of thing, and we will be ready for football next fall
Remember I explained to you about the situation over there?
with the upstairs.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we need to make a decision as to if they can use the LCDC building or if we're gonna fix.
That's right, it'll be the towns. I spoke with the young lady, Susan Tucker, that works for the county today, and I asked her to get some prices on doing a closing to transfer the property to the town. And while Tessie's here, the seller's attorney will be Preston Wilson, who provided the lowest price to do the closing, and I assume he'll be providing you with the deed and all such materials, and then you can handle the buyer side, I guess. And there's really no transaction of any kind. I don't even know if a HUD's necessary, other than to reflect maybe recording costs, which should be exempted. So Preston Wilson's supposed to be handling the seller's side of that property for the school. Okay.
Yes, and I think I had already confirmed last time that council voted to accept it, so.
So you're good with everything they've done? Is that true, Jennifer?
Council is not voting to
There you go.
Okay.
I think they were gonna wait to get the deed and then accept it all.
I think that was the plan, to get the deed in hand and then accept.
The one thing we do need to do though, generally that is something that was cited in the deed description. So, I'm sure when the seller's attorney does it, they'll say, this deed was accepted or this,
Do you have to advertise that for
No.
public? So could council do it now?
council could do it now. It just has to be a vote to accept the gift of the property.
How you want to handle this?
Just get it done, and then it can be included in the description of the deed, if that's okay. But I will not record before I come to you guys with it.
I move that we accept all of the properties from the surplus to by the Nottaway County themselves.
Nottaway County, they have possession of it now. The school's already titled it.
With great thanks.
Say it.
I said it.
Oh, okay. All right. We have a motion by Mr. Nash and a second by Mr. Allman to accept all properties around the area we call Wrigglesworth Sports Complex, awaiting the deed for the property. Is that correct?
That's correct. And Preston Wilson is the attorney of record on behalf of the county.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I really didn't have to do a lot. I just asked and worked it and patience, and y'all backed me 100%. And when I go to another form of government, or I speak for y'all on y'all's behalf, when I have that unanimous support, it carries a big stick. So I'm glad it's done. I think it's good for the county and it's good for the town. And I'm delighted to hear this motion. I ask for a roll call vote to accept this property, starting with Mr. Gormas.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0.
So now, upon acceptance of the property, and upon recordation of the deed, the building is yours to decide how and what, because there's not a valid lease between LCCDC and the town of Blackstone. That lease expired with the county.
Okay.
And I think they actually voted to terminate the lease, did they not?
Are they still currently?
They, you
No,
know
what
what?
it is, the
No, they
Gators,
said it wasn't necessary because
They
they
got a
weren't the
phone.
owner.
yeah, see, they got a phone call from Yvonne, and Yvonne told them that this was the last month, that they would have to find somebody somewhere else. So they wanted to fix the upstairs and the stadium up so they could have meetings and stuff. But like he's saying, if we own the building, then
No
We
need.
have a buildings and grounds meeting
Can we have one?
to discuss that.
Well, I've referred the billboards to them,
I mean, yeah, we can have
or
one.
is this something you
I'd
guys
rather
take up
go,
with the council?
instead of buildings or instead of Parks and Rec, I think that falls in the buildings and grounds.
Is that not your committee, Carolyn?
That's what I'm looking to say, what you
Yeah.
guys are saying.
Whenever you're,
here's my,
Just to, I mean, I would, if someone's in that building now, let's let them keep using it. and
Yeah, of course.
Be used, and I also feel like the Gators should be able to have a meeting in there if they want.
right.
Yeah, that's just
But, that's the
communication.
thing,
just-
we don't-
just ask them.
We don't know if it's anybody still in there.
Well, let's let her say her piece, and if she's interested in staying there, that's fine. If not, we know to move forward.
Could
Something
we,
different.
could we do that by the 4th, you think?
pardon?
Could we have this ready for a vote on the 4th?
Absolutely.
Is that agreeable to you,
Yes.
Madam Chair?
I don't think it's a big, it's just simply inviting her to come and speak with the committee, and if she intends to stay there.
Sounds good to me.
Like
Sounds
you
good
said,
to me.
communication.
Common consent, everybody's agreeable to that? Excellent. Mr. Manager, item number 6.
The final home in this neighborhood will be complete. We had asked for an extension of time on the last house, but I think we're gonna beat that. So certainly by the 1st of October, we will be completely 100% done with the East End project. And the home has had siding put on, the home has had the foundation repaired, and the home has also had the roof painted. I still see some boards on the roof, so they may still have some things, maybe some sheathing or something around the chimney or something, but for all intents and purposes, we're nearly done.
Does that mean it comes off with ongoing?
It does. Jennifer Daniel asked me that earlier, if she could take it off.
Come off.
It will not be on there
Y'all
anymore.
gonna take me off, but I got a question before we take me off. You know, you brought a couple sheds down there,
I did.
and it's not working. 'Cause I'm
Pick them up. I'll be happy
yeah,
to get
I
'em.
mean, what I'm saying is, you got 3 people living in one house. You got one shed.
And that
What's
does
go-
not,
hold on, what's gonna happen is, and you know, and I know, it's gonna be a big disturbance. Only thing I'm asking, if the council maybe could find enough money to get to maybe 2 or 3 more sheds.
I don't think that's,
few.
no offense, Mr. Miller, but I think the intransigence of one individual shouldn't cost the town another $1,000.
But what I'm saying,
It doesn't belong to him. It belongs to the property owner.
But
The
listen-
shed does.
here it is. You got this shed on the property,
Yes, sir.
and you got a man that's controlling the thing, and he's not letting the other people use it.
But that's a private matter that Mr. Hill, John Hill, who owns the shed.
Well, he's supposed to be coming and talking to you.
I need to go see Mr. Hill and tell him the lock needs to come off because it's for everybody there.
Yeah.
And if Mr. Hill says pick up the shed and take it, we'll pick it up and take it.
Because it's a big disturbance. This is not the first time I
It's
talked to you
absurd.
about it.
I'm really shocked that folks can't appreciate a Eagle Scout building a shed for everybody that we donated to these folks so they didn't have to leave their stuff out in the yard. It's astonishing to me that it can be a controversy, but I get it. The shed is affixed to the property. It was not given to one of the tenants to control. It was given to the property owner. John Hill is the owner of the shed. And Mr. Hill needs to determine who can and can't use the shed. I don't think he wants to get into controversy, obviously. It shouldn't be a controversy, but I think the individual has put a lock on the shed
Yeah,
and is refusing access to the other tenants,
right.
and which is not the intention. It was not given to the tenant, it was
He
given to
needs
the
to get
property
that
owner.
straight because I get tired of hearing it.
It's absurd. I'll go down there and cut the lock off if Mr. Hill tells me to, and we'll enter the property and just cut the lock off and just tell them everybody gets to use the shed.
Before we leave, East End, what's the last remaining street to be paved? You called it and I couldn't.
I'm done with paving.
Oh, you
You
done
ain't got
with
nothing else to pave it.
Curb and gutter, curb and gutter.
It's Hurt Street.
Hurt.
There's one block of Hurt Street between Dinwiddie and Tavern. And there's 3 homes that face it. They were not technically in the East End project area. And so we didn't do the curb and gutter in front of their homes. And Mr. Miller has asked me on a couple occasions if we can get that done. I don't have an immediate plan because the same situation was on Ep Street. The only reason we did the Ep Street one was because the apartments were being built across.
Break it into 100-foot sections.
Yeah.
99-foot section.
Right now.
Can you,
Which street is that? Hurt?
Yeah.
Between
Street.
Tavern
And Dillard.
Yeah.
No, between Tavern and Dinwiddie.
Dinwiddie.
Excuse me.
Chairman Nash, would you take that up in the budget next year? I'd like to see that done. That's the proper way to do it, is that correct,
Well, I think
Or
you
do you
just
have
approved the
some-
contract.
sir?
You approved the contract just now. But I can tell you, Ms. Miller, I don't have the money to do it right now. If it's anything, and the size and distances should be very similar to what we did on Ep Street, and that was $59,000. So
489 feet is what it is.
we paid $59,000 to do the side at Ep Street, if you remember. And the only difference may be, I think there were 2 driveways on Ep Street, and there may be 3 driveways on Hurt Street. So $60,000+ I think would be the property
There's
fee.
4 property owners. We can do each property owner.
You put a driveway in for each property.
No, I'm saying
100 feet, man. 100 feet.
99 feet. 99 feet.
not my fault.
We'll do the best we can as,
Alright,
as funds are available.
Sounds good. Taylor Bottom Block Grant.
I don't have anything new to report. Chastity, of course, does have a public meeting that she'd like to let you know about.
Yes, we will be having a committee meeting October the 3rd, I believe. Where we can sit down and discuss, getting everything together for the plan. We've already submitted, we have majority of the DHCD application complete. We're getting the final paperwork from the citizens down in Taylor's Bottom as well as the surveys.
October 3rd in these chambers?
Yes.
What time?
I believe it's
10 a.m.?
You said a committee meeting, is that?
Is that a weekday or weekend?
October the what?
3rd, she said.
3rd?
Yes, yes, yes.
That's
Cause, I'll be in the classroom.
Is it like one of this committee or?
Councilwoman, Lynn.
October the 3rd is on a Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll be in the classroom, but I'll put my headset on.
It's on a
Listen.
Tuesday.
Third is a Tuesday, because I'm gonna continue this meeting to the 4th. I'm sorry, there's so much going on. Who's on this committee?
I believe it's, Councilwoman Lynn, and then it's Eric Paul, and it's also Rachel Maddox, myself, Earl and Earlene from Southside Outreach Group. And we're also going to talk about adding another member from down in Taylor's Bottom, that's a local resident.
If you need me to represent you, I'll be glad to do so.
I'll come and be there for you.
If you're not gonna be there, let me know.
Talking to you.
I am.
I'll be glad
We're
to.
gonna bring her in virtually, she'll be.
Oh, okay, good. Okay,
We can come up here and see.
But I still may want one of you to be present.
all right, you gotta.
Since you're volunteering,
Mayor,
since
Mayor,
Ma'am,
talking to you. I still may ask one of you to be present since you're volunteering your time.
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, I'll be glad to be
I don't
here
have
if
a
you need
problem.
me.
Thank you, because I am going to be in the classroom. I just feel so special.
Okay.
Moving on very quickly, if you're agreeable to move forward. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Back to the Armory, we talked about the bids, but I also want to let you know, as of Thursday or Friday last week, all abatement activities are done. We need to get the boards put back in the windows. We'll get that all taken care of and seal it. Lead-based paint has been removed and approved by the town's inspector. Underground storage tank was removed. We do not need to draw down any funds or apply for any grant dollars for that, as the state's leaking underground storage tank fund already paid for that. We didn't have to pay anything for it. And the asbestos has been fully abated. So Chastity and Todd Fortune with the Commonwealth Regional Council are putting together the drawdowns, and hopefully we'll get everything back ASAP, and that money will go right back into the Armory ARPA funds that we've been using. Unfortunately, that particular grant did not allow us to do draws. It was all at one time, and so we finally finished so we can get all that money back. Okay. Moving forward, weatherization. To let you know, we had requested from the county $40,000 for weatherization activities in the town of Blackstone, and we have received that $40,000. The town has budgeted, but I have not set aside the $50,000 for weatherization in this current fiscal year, and once those funds are set aside, the town will proceed with the next qualified applicant on the list. Okay.
So that's 90,000 we playing with?
90,000 that you will ultimately play with this fiscal year, yep. Whether it's a new house or what it is, if it's multiple renovations or a new house or whatever, so we hope to get some things done. I will tell you that we're very nearly closed on the first workforce housing home. I think we should have a move-in relatively soon. By the 15th of October, the first family will move into the new home that has been constructed, and that new home will be a mortgage through Virginia Housing. The money that we have fronted, the grant money that we have spent so far, will come back to the town, and we're creating a revolving fund. The next two lots, remember it was 3 homes to start with, and we had $405,000 to work with. The next 2 homes are out to bid, and we have qualified homeowners for both of those. One will be on Broad Street, and the other one will be on Dillard Street across from the Levi Strauss property.
What was the total money expended on the one home that will close October 15th?
It was 139,000 the total.
It includes the land and everything.
Where's that at? Where's the location of that?
It's on the corner of Hurt Street and Broad. Hurt and Broad.
Right there where
Right across
the
from
purchase,
disputed,
you know what the janitor?
Shed.
The new house they
Across from
building
the
right there.
shed and dispute. That is correct. And then the next house, the next 2 houses, if you're familiar with Broad Street, there was a very old, terrible blue house that was half fallen down.
Okay.
At the very, it was a Tucker property,
Tucker,
at the
Mr.
very end of Broad Street. The next to last lot. That property was purchased by Earl Howerton. The town of Blackstone put up $4,500 of its weatherization money, bought the property. We tore it down. It's titled with Southside Outreach, and one of these new homes will be built on there. You have a qualified buyer. And the other home, if you're familiar, the town owns a lot right across from Levi Strauss's old building on Dillard
Which
Street.
side? On Dillard Street.
And so there'll be a home built on that, and there's also a qualified homeowner.
With those expenditures that we had on the Broad Street lot,
Mhm.
taking the tree down, taking the house down, is any of that expended back to
I think
us?
we'll get our $4,500 back. No, I can't say that I'm
Understand.
specifically looking for the demo cost, because I told Earl we'll get her down if you'll buy the thing. And, but we did put up $4,500 cash. That will come back to the town.
And the Telebottom meeting is set for October 4th at 10 a.m. It's a virtual TV.
Not the 3rd, the
Not the 3rd,
4th.
the 4th at 10 a.m. virtual.
What do you see getting back each month from these projects to go back into the revolving fund?
It won't be each month, because we're not gonna service the debt. That's the beauty of it. The debt will actually be held by Virginia Housing, excuse me, which is a state.
We'll get it once a year?
No, they're gonna pay us out when they close, just like a construction loan. So the construction loan will be paid off, we'll get fully reimbursed. We'll set that aside, and we'll do another house. And ultimately, if we keep going long enough, the money will run out, but we'll be able to do more than 3 houses. We should be able to do 7, maybe 8 houses. And it seems much easier now to qualify folks, because that first one was tough getting going and getting people notified. But we now have, before we're even bidding it, because the first one we built is a spec house. These two, we actually have people who are helping design the home that they want to buy because they're qualified for a certain dollar figure. So I think we'll get more buyers. I'd like to move into other neighborhoods because because we own the lots over there. That's the only reason we're doing the lots over on the east end, because we were tearing down houses as part of the east end project. But I'd like to see West End. I'd like to see Taylor's Bottom. I'd like to see other parts of town also get some of these kinds of things. But we need to acquire lots inexpensively, quite frankly. We need to find some inexpensive properties. So we always keep our eye on tax sales and all those kinds of things.
Here's a piece over on Tavern Street.
Is there? Okay. We need to look at Tavern Street. We need to find parts of town that are maybe not served. There's 3 houses that I know are going on the east end. So maybe we can find some lots over in the west end or in Taylor's Bottom or in Stokes and Center Street and those areas. Those areas could use some rehabbing, and but we just got to find the lots. And
So the town has to own the lot to use this?
we don't typically own the lot. We only own the Levi's lot because I think that was given to the town many, many years ago by Levi's. There was a playground or something over there. I don't remember the whole history, but Tessie's done the title search, and we have a survey, and it definitively is owned by the town. And as we were doing the East End project, if you remember, there was a house that burned on Broad Street and Hurt, and the property went to a tax sale, and Earl Howard and bought that at a tax sale. And then the one at the very end of Broad Street, it just looked so bad. It was a blemish on the community. It was bad. And so that was purchased by Earl, negotiating with the gentleman, and he agreed to $9,000 to sell the lot. I think he probably paid $1,500 for it at a tax sale. But I told him, either you can cut a deal with Earl, or we're going to condemn it and take the property if we have to, or do whatever we got to do to knock this rascal down. So he worked out a deal with Earl, and the town put up $4,500.
So if I owned a lot, could you build a house for me for this work? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. No. Why not?
The way that it is set up now, based on the grant, now, once we do the revolving fund, that's something we can discuss as far as
Potentially.
our program.
Okay.
But for this particular grant, it has to be a lot that's already currently owned by the Southside Outreach since they partner with the town.
Or town. Okay. There
I
you
have
go.
a question. With this grant, with the Southside Outreach, is this affordable housing
It
for
is.
the rent? 'Cause we don't want people paying $1,200.
Yes, ma'am. So it's
Yeah.
workforce housing, so it's based on primarily those that are not making above the income limit. So we're trying to initially we were trying to keep everybody's mortgage payment roughly below $750. That's initially where we started. Inflation may rise a little bit. But the person that we're working with now that got pre-qualified, from what we initially discussed, overall the project would cost them more than $139 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, what she's getting, and then trying to keep her payments under $750 for her mortgage payment.
You said the house was how much?
The house altogether, was $139.
What's the term?
I believe it's a 30-year.
You can ask Ms. Davis, I'm sure she can attest to a 3-bedroom house sitting going for $139 in Barstow.
That part.
And I am proud to say, and this is Pat and staff, Jennifer, she helps with minutes and the administrative side, everybody involved. We are the only community in Southside Virginia that applied for this grant and received this grant. Habitat for Humanity's got a significant amount of money from this program, but no other county, no other town, no other city in Southside Virginia or in the Commonwealth Regional Council District applied for it. And we got $405,000. We're going to turn 405 into over $1 million ultimately when we finish building all the houses.
That's awesome. That's wonderful.
Good job. Everybody's doing a good job. And that's the way it should be, and be creative and make it happen. And that $1,400 rent, if you can own your own home for $750, that's a good deal.
It's worth
It's a good lick.
Cheaper than rent.
It's worth
Good
it.
day's work.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's worth it.
All right, anything else?
Not on that.
Now,
BB&T Bank, if we can talk about that very quickly.
absolutely, you can do it right now.
BB&T Bank. I have had conversations with the owner, the now owner of BB&T Bank, the old Central Fidelity building over here. I had thought for many years that it would be neat, interesting, helpful, convenient if we had that drive-through for the treasurer's office. People could pay their utility bills with the drive-through. They could do DMV work at a drive-through and that sort of thing. I made the intention known that I had interest in it. I showed Brittany the building, and the first floor, about half the first floor, was about 3,000 square feet, maybe 3,500 square feet. We didn't need it all, we just needed the teller side with the vault and all that sort of thing. I was quoted a price, it was about $7,000 a month. And I said, I just can't do $7,000 a month. I think the owner has come back and has spoken with Eric. They're willing to negotiate. They would really like the town to be in there, but I don't have $6,000 a month to put towards this. I want to gauge what y'all's interest, and we can go to a building and grounds committee if you'd like to discuss it further, and without trying to throw something at you, maybe do a tour of the building, take a look at it. There's just not $6,000-7,000 in the kitty to do this right now. I do think it would be helpful for folks to get the parking lot, drive through, all those kinds of amenities, and hopefully it would speed things up and people can come in and out, and that would allow the building, this town hall, to have a longer life. Pretty much got every office space filled with somebody. But if it's agreeable, I did tell Mr. Horner that I would discuss it with you guys today, but maybe sooner rather than later, we're gonna have a building and grounds committee meeting and get y'all to walk over there and take a look at it and see what you all be interested, or if you're not interested. I mean, I want to talk for council, but I can speak for, you don't have the money to pay full price. That's just not there. And maybe we can talk a little bit more about it at a building and grounds committee.
I think
That's
in
agreeable.
my conversation, and I've tried to stay out of it a whole lot just because I work for the individual. He's looking at the 4 range, so it's substantially less, and him rehabilitating the whole building to the town's liking.
He would do the renovations. Yeah. I think he really would like us in there. I think it's a good anchor. I really like the idea of the drive-through, but I don't want to take on a big.
If we did that, is there a way that we can increase services that DMV offers possibly to help?
We're a DMV select, so I don't know if you can do licenses and that sort of thing over there. I can find out. What expansion
Maybe
you can do
there's
there.
some compensation to help pay
I
for it.
was
I've
about
looked
to ask the
into it.
same thing. I was about that same thing.
I've looked into it because Philip tried to pawn it off on me a couple of times. There's really no way to make money.
It ain't a
doing
moneymaker, I can
It's
just
not a
assure you.
moneymaker.
DMV, you get pennies on the transaction.
No.
You
Not a
pay
select.
literally one of the ladies at the counter's salary, but not benefits over the course of a year.
I don't know how it
That'd
works.
be a
And
regular.
another question, if we use that for payments for drive-through people to keep from having to come into the building, we're still gonna offer the inside services?
It'll be
as well?
inside and outside.
Outside.
And then, of
So
course,
that'll make it more, cause I have been in here and looked at that line and said, okay, I'm coming back later.
so you'd be able to go in and you'd also be able to use the drive-through.
Okay,
That was the intention, and there'd be a night deposit box like we have now. There would be one over there as well.
they
and,
have it already.
Yeah, they've got it already.
They have it already.
Something to think about.
I'm gonna refer this to building and grounds.
Perfect, thank
What
you.
would you do with this building?
Let's refer it to the building and ground guys,
Yeah.
so we won't prolong it, we can have a discussion on it, and we can bring back our recommendations.
And I think you're talking about having a meeting relatively soon anyhow,
Yeah. we
about
need
the
to do that.
LCCDC building.
I'll get with Jennifer so we can
Okay.
hook up a meeting.
All right, item number 2 is you have a list here that the manager is, asking us to surplus. Would you like to explain this?
Cemetery hospital.
Well,
Packed up too quick.
I skipped that because I'm out of sync here. So let's do number 1, Lakeview Cemetery.
Lakeview
headstone.
Cemetery, it's a pretty simple request. This individual bought 4 single lots. 4 single lots. And each single lot is entitled to 1 headstone. 1, 2, 3, 4. What she would like to do is, because her husband and she would be buried in, her husband has already been interned, she would go next. Instead of 2 single headstones, she'd like to make it 1 double headstone. Stays in line, but it does violate 1 headstone per grave in a single.
Less grass to mow.
I don't have a problem with it. The lady's name is Dale Monahan, if anybody has questions, and her husband has been interred. She intends to go next to him, and instead of 2 separate headstones, she'd just like to make it a single headstone for both.
Grant the request before us.
Mr. Nash has moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Gorman seconds the motion. Any discussion, council? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Item number 2 is the surplus list.
You have one old pickup truck that has finally given up on us at the Water and Sewer Department. It's an old orange truck that they use out there. In addition, there's an old check printer, an old utility printer, which is the old dot matrix printer that we used to print the cards on. We don't do the cards, we now use a laser printer, and the old cardboard baler that we have that's sitting down there at the property on Church Street where we used to bale cardboard, but we had to remove it when we sold the property to the gentleman who's renovating into apartments now.
You wouldn't auction the truck, you would just take that to ABC, correct? Or is it worth auctioning?
I would probably put it on
Gov deals?
Gov Deals because it doesn't cost anything if we don't sell it. Stick it on there. If we get $400, I'd probably sell it on Gov Deals and save us from having to drive it down there. But if we don't get that, say $400, we'll put a minimum on Gov Deals. If we don't get it, it'll go on down to ABC.
I move that we approve the surplus list.
Second.
Mr. Nash has moved, Mr. Miller has seconded to surplus the listing provided in your package. Is there any discussion? I ask for a voice vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Now, we had a discussion today, and I don't want to betray our discussion, but you have some items in the armory that you want to surplus shortly?
There is a lot of stuff in the basement of the armory. Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've already surplused those items?
I think we were surplus and then the roller skates also, but I don't know what else. I don't know if we got any specifics.
There was a bunch of old desks and chairs, and there is one really cool RC Cola drink box down
I
there that
believe there's old,
looks pretty good.
the jail cells from over
Old
here.
jail.
Yeah. Oh, that's down there.
You know, I hate to take the stuff out and take pictures of it and stick it back in. We can dispose of it. We can have an auction in town. Just say if you buy one desk, you get 4, and put them in lots and do some stuff like that. But I need to get the stuff out of there, and I think we've declared it surplus. But I either need to have a little auction and do it on a Thursday afternoon up there in the yard, put up a tent and sell that stuff, or put it on Gov Deal.
Would council be agreeable to a motion that would authorize the town manager to dispose of this at his discretion?
So moved.
Mr. Nash moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Miller seconds to allow the town manager to dispose of the items in the armory at his discretion. Any discussion?
Will you include surplus also just in case?
And also, would you include surplusing any items that have not been surplused? Is that agreeable to you, Mr. Miller?
So moved.
All right, any discussion? I'll ask for a voice vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 6-0. New business number 3 is a town square request. And it might not have been done exactly the way it should, and I've asked Councilman Allman, he is our DBI liaison, to lead a discussion about the process of someone that wants to reserve the town square. Mr. Allman?
Sure. It was previously discussed and decided upon, to my knowledge, that DBI, that request for the town square would be handled by DBI. Just kind of reduce the workload up here. Unless there was needed to be a waiver of the noise ordinance or there was alcohol involved. I believe those are the only two.
And street closure, is that?
Street closure.
Street closures. And when I remember, those would come to council after it went through the DBI office for approval.
And that's fine. The reason we put it on there is because we knew it was gonna be pressing close to her event date. And if we had waited to the 3rd Monday in October, she would only had a week or 2 to advertise.
Right.
That makes sense, because I was gonna ask if there was a disconnect, because it seems like we've gotten some of these, and I know that
No, I think
there was some changeover. I just wanna make sure there's not a disconnect.
happy to let DBI handle those kinds of things, no problem. But I knew if we waited to the 3rd Monday in October, she wouldn't have
Enough time.
enough
Yep.
time. And it's not for alcohol, it's for street
DBI
closure.
gave it to me, so that's why we put it on the agenda, because it had the noise ordinance and the street closure.
Gotcha.
So in the
Just making
future,
more
it sounds
sense.
like DBI
So-
just needs to give it back to us saying that they recommend.
Yeah, Emma gave it to me, and then I was presenting it to y'all
Did
because
you?
it did include a street closure and a noise.
What's the disconnect?
Okay.
There's no disconnect.
No.
The only
Sorry.
disconnect is there was another one that never even came through DBI, right?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with this application or any other one. I just would like publicly to let Mr. Allman define what we've already agreed to.
Does DBI approve of this event in our packet?
We haven't,
You didn't really
Well,
discuss
well,
it before.
okay.
Yeah, we hadn't had a chance to.
I think what Jake's saying is he'd rather DBI or DBI board come to us and say, all right, we approve the event, and if there's any requests that we need to approve up here, street
Then we
closure,
approve it.
alcohol, whatever it be, noise
Then we
ordinance,
just-
then
Right.
that's what we approve.
Okay, everybody agree with that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so you have before you, a request that, to use the town square on October 28th from 4 to 8 p.m. For a Woodstock reunion. They're asking to waive the noise ordinance and closing Main from Broad to Elm. What's council's pleasure?
Move to approve the waiver of the noise ordinance
Mr. Alman has moved. Is there a second?
And street closure?
and
Well,
including the street closure.
I'll second.
Mr. Gorman seconds. Is there any discussion? I ask for a voice vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Number 4, new business is security light refund request. Manager Van Orbit?
Apparently, there were 2 security lights that have been charged, when indeed there was only 1 security light. I think you see some correspondence back and forth. I'm not disputing the gentleman's findings, and I told Ashley, just get it in writing and we'll take it to council, and if they're agreeable. But I would ask, if you're gonna give the 3-year credit, it's fine with me, but I'd prefer to just cut them a check for $350 instead of every month making sure that we apply the credit. It would just be cheaper, easier for everybody just to write them a check for $10.57 a month for 3 years and be done with it.
You know that the light hadn't been there?
I think Charlie confirmed that the light, and Ashley, I think, has a written, an email included that the light hadn't been there for 3 years.
And she provided me something today,
Mhm.
that she said this started on February 2021, and that the charge, and I think the people are deceased that lived there, and
Mhm.
they never turned it in, so the son is now taking over the bills, and so he's charged
Correct.
it. But she said it's been $10.57 per month,
Since February of 2021.
Is that
21.
So it'll be about 2.5 years.
okay?
At 10.57, 2.5 is 24, 30 months. 30 times 10, 300. I would rather just cut a check to the gentleman and call it even rather than keeping up with credits and that sort of thing.
I make a motion that we authorize the town manager to cut a check for $350 to pay for this, overpayment of lights.
Or
Or what the,
even to what the
what
amount
the,
would be.
Or
The
even
sum
to what
is-
the amount is, could be.
okay.
February 21.
I believe that's what she put down, right?
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Williams, second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. I've already dispatched with committee referrals, and I believe that was, what are we taking up on it?
Buildings, property, and cemetery, LCCDC, and the BB&T building.
Correct, the 2 buildings, LCCD building and the BB&T building, okay? I have several items on the, mayor's minute. The first is that Philip and I met today with Nottaway County's treasurer, Miss Tammy Rayford. I've been promising y'all I'd get an answer about, whether or not we could issue the dog tags. She declined our request, and after further conversation, I think she convinced Philip and myself that we really don't wanna do that. There's a tremendous amount of forms to fill out and follow-up, and we weren't gonna make any money doing it, and so we've been denied, but she made me feel better. Do you agree with that, Philip?
I think that, I had no idea there was as much reporting as the comp board that she indicated, and, she's not at this time, I think she said, she's not inclined to.
But she said check back with her next year, and she may wanna do that, okay?
And she's new, maybe in a
Yep.
year or 2, we'll find out that something changes.
Miss Wright, I hate to put you on the spot. Did we set a date for my meeting with the business owners November 8th? Is that correct?
My calendar, open, but did I set it up right? It's a Wednesday, it's the first week of November.
Okay.
Um,
You got a calendar?
I think it's the second Wednesday, so November 8th.
Okay, November 8th. All right, council, I made a promise first of the year that I was gonna have a meeting with and y'all are all welcome to attend, of course, but that I wanted to have a meeting with the business owners. I know quite a few of the business owners downtown, and a lot of them, they don't reside here, they don't have a vote, and I wanted to have them have a voice. And, Ms. Wright is already, she's ready to go with invitations. We're gonna gauge how many people we think will attend, and I'll be coming back asking council to authorize that meeting at whatever locale we think's the best.
Is this only for downtown businesses?
This for the entire town, the entire, all of our business owners, yeah. And I don't particularly like singling out the downtown, cause we have a lot of great merchants, big and small, outside the district. And they're all important to me, and I'm sure they are you too as well. I had 2 nice meetings last week. One meeting, we met with the Blackstone Baptist Church. Chastity and Emma accompanied me, and they were definitely the brains of the organization. So they did a great job. They wanted to know, this group of retired individuals wanted to know what the town does for senior citizens, and we gave them a nice brief. They had a lot of ideas, and some of them I'm going to try to get on the agenda and let you guys talk about it. But it was a very nice meeting. I was very proud of staff and Miss Wright, too. I also attended a Main Street program called a Rev Up meeting. It was held last week at the 101 on Main. There was a lot of Main Street managers and staff from all over Central Virginia. Alta Vista, Orange, South Hill, Cape Charles, and I just want to pass along to you all the many compliments about downtown and beyond. They thought, and I bragged about. I think Blackstone is a unicorn in how well we're growing and how beautiful this small town is, and they all agreed, and it was just a very positive experience. I've also I had a wonderful phone call with, I believe, your sister today, Lizzie Stokes.
She was here earlier.
And they have asked me to come on October 1st, on Sunday afternoon at 2:30. I'm gathering an overview of what's going on with the town. I'm gonna be there for that. Just want to give y'all a heads up. They're gonna have a meeting and ask me to come to speak. And give an overview of what you guys are working on and where we're going with various projects. Just want to give you a heads up on that.
Mayor, I think that's, they're having their Friends and Family Day, if I'm
That's
not
right.
mistaken.
Right.
And they just
Is
want
that
you to come.
church?
That's a church, and they just want you to come,
Now-
because, Mr. Coburn used to go
Right.
the last couple of years. He was going and just say something brief and.
Mount
and introduce
Nebo,
himself.
isn't it?
Mount Nebo.
Mount Nebo.
Yep. Glad for y'all to come to that as well. The only other thing I hate to be a pest, but this is the 9th meeting that we've talked about microphones for this chamber. I know a lot of people that can't be here or don't want to be here, and when we're not, they hear me loud and clear. My big mouth is easy to pick up, but some of y'all are not. It's difficult to hear, and the problem is that mic at the podium overwhelms us, and so people are like, we're having to turn it up and down, up and down, up and down. So what is the update? Does the man just
I
know?
got 2 quotes, and I'm trying to decide between both of them, and hopefully I will award that, within the next week or 2.
Okay.
And, another company that did not install these has given us a quote, and I don't know if it's gonna fit in this box, and I just need to make sure everything's gonna be apples to apples.
Okay. All right. That's all I have on the mayor's minute. You have your police report in your package. Chief or Sergeant Murphy, do y'all have any comments?
Do you have any questions?
Does any questions?
Is this 99 number correct? I'm assuming it is, for traffic stops? This is 99 traffic stops?
I'm not sure about the traffic stops, the amount of summonses over there.
Yeah, there was a lot. I mean, it was a drastically different report than last month, and I've had a lot of citizens in the neighborhood give thank yous. So we've seen a difference. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Hear a
as well.
difference.
I was about to say, I think your biggest presence would be the noise that's been given out, so.
Outstanding. Any other questions for our police department? Okay, this is the second opportunity that people in the audience have an opportunity to speak to the council. Would it, yes.
I just wanted to say,
Podium, please.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't do that.
Shut down.
Don't do that. Hello, everyone. Last month I did not make council meeting. I do apologize, but the town manager and I were given a task to come up with something for the Nottaway Ponytails, and I wanted to give y'all kind of an update on what's going on with that. So on October 16th, before the next scheduled council meeting, we will be recognizing the Nottaway County Ponytails at 6 p.m. And we will be gifting them championship rings and a plaque that is here from Watkins, and giving them a pizza dinner at the PD across the street before our council meeting starts. So I would like to let all of you know we would love to have y'all there just to tell them congratulations for that. And that's all I really had to say. That's all I wanted to let everybody know.
All right.
Will we have them here at the meeting so maybe people can see them?
Yes, it was 6 o'clock. We're gonna feed them, and then you're gonna do the presentation here. I'd rather do the presentations in these chambers at 7.
Not a problem.
Okay? Any questions for our community development director?
And one
It-
last thing. Oh, sorry. I know I
Full
sent
of
out
it
an
tonight.
email. I'm sorry. I sent out an email for everyone. Virginia Union University Council was invited to attend their Virginia Union homecoming on October 21st. I sent it out. I know I feel like I'm a bill collector hounding y'all about seeing if y'all are gonna go. I just want to give them a head count and name so they can add us to the VIP list for those that are gonna make it. Some have already told me they'll be there. Some have stated they will not be. So if everybody just let me know so I can.
What's the
get-
date again?
October 21st.
I
We
think
got-
go ahead, Mr. Mills.
The weekend after state, right?
Right, Virginia State's is October the 14th, and then Virginia Union's is October 21st.
I think I emailed you about the
You did, and
21st,
you
and I
did.
just want the public to know that I hate missing that, but it's Parents' Day, and I've got like 5 functions to do at Bowie's Creek, and I don't see how I can get out of it.
Yes, sir. Well, they've met you and they love you, so I just
No,
want
I
them
got
to
good
be able to
seats
meet the
involved in it,
council,
too,
put
so you
faces,
forget
and let
that.
them know that we do support them since they are bringing business and supporting us. Okay, now I'm officially.
Southern Kitchen.
I can't make it either, baby.
No,
St.
you're
Paul.
wrong,
In
man.
St. Paul is
You're
having
wrong.
a reunion.
Oh. Any other business to
Y'all
come,
going, man?
any other business to come
Chick.
before the council?
You going?
I need a motion to go into closed session, for personnel, the administration, town manager, and also for a staff briefing concerning possible or probable litigation. Would you offer that motion, ma'am?
Let me read this.
I couldn't ramble all that off. You do it so well.
We need a motion to go into closed session under Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711 for personnel for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, and legal matters, consultation with legal counsel, and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation, or such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body.
Is there a motion? Mr. Nash moves. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll give that to Ms. Nguyen. Is there any discussion? I'll start with a roll call vote with Mr. Gormas.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. We are now, we'll be a 2-minute recess, and before we go, I can't guarantee there will be any action after this meeting. But if you wanna hang around, we'll step out and say we're done or whatever. But I can't assure anyone that there will or will not be any action taken tonight.